What's going on, guys? It's another beautiful day here in Texas. It's about 76 degrees and it is really rubbing it in that I don't currently have a road-worthy bike. So I would love to just be out riding today, but next best thing is out here working on them. So I'm going to dive a little bit more into the CB550 today. The name of the game is front forks and headlight and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how far we'll get, but basically the front forks on there, the fork seals are bad. It did come with these, kind of, they're stock CB550, front forks as well, but they are in a little bit better condition than those, and the fork seals are good on these. So what I'm probably going to do is just swap them out and put these on there, see how those work. If those aren't doing well, then we may, end up rebuilding one set of them. I don't know, I kind of have to dive into it, but I'm hoping I can get away with just swapping these over. So we're getting on that. I do have Evapo-Rust in the tank. I've been kind of shuffling it around and kind of holding it up at different angles to try to get the Evapo-Rust to get all the way around the inside of the tank. That's going really well. Only other thing is the t-shirt campaign. Thank you hugely to the people who have already bought shirts and hoodies and stuff. If you didn't see my last video, that campaign is live. I'll put the link in the description again. It's just teespring.com/classicoctane. Short sleeves, long sleeves, hoodies, and coffee mugs. So yeah, please check that out if you have time, and thanks again to everyone who has already gotten them. It's a huge help, and I'm really excited about it. So thanks again. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, I just pulled the front forks. They were super corroded into the lower tree here, but not too bad to get off at all, since I already had, the top triple tree and everything taken off. Basically all I had to do was those 14mm bolts, the brake caliper and brackets, the front fender. Then they basically slide out from underneath. So this is what they look like. As you can see, like, crazy amount of corrosion on there. Both the fork seals are completely blown and have been leaking for what looks like a very, very long time. I also took this opportunity to pull these stock ears off, or whatever you want to call them, the headlight mounts, because we do have nice cleaner aftermarket ones to throw in there as well. So these are the ones I'm going to be replacing it with. No question why I'm doing it. These are in much better condition, not leaking. So everything should be good to go. And they look to be identical as far as mounting holes and everything, so it should be a pretty easy swap. So what I'm going to do now is just pull out a wire brush and really clean this up really, really well. I may even take this off to paint it. I'm not 100% sure, just because I don't know if I want to mess with the bearings and everything in here, but I may or may not do that. We'll see. I'm definitely at least going to clean it up as much as I possibly can before we reinstall those new ones, and then get to work on putting the whole top triple tree and everything back together. So it's kind of where we're at right now. It's coming along nicely. Got them all cleaned up and ended up giving them a quick little spray of black paint, just so it can kind of clean them up a little bit and get rid of some of the rust and stuff. So I'm ready to throw them back on now. I did take the boots off of the old ones, cleaned them up with soap and water to get all the grease and dirt and stuff out of them, and then threw them on here. Now I'm ready to throw them into the front end and start to get this thing put together for the last time. Got the front end mostly put back together. Front wheel on, front brakes back on. Obviously the new forks are on. As you can see, it looks significantly better than before. Only thing I didn't put on is the front fender again. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I've run a couple of bikes without front fenders at all, and I've never had an issue. Some people swear you're going to have problems with the forks kind of flexing without that extra support, but I've run 3 550s like that for a lot of miles and never had any problems. But that being said, with this front fender, it does kind of fit the style of the bike, so I may just paint it and put it back on. I don't know. I have to figure that part out, but I can always throw that out again later. Have the nice painted top triple tree on, so that looks good. So I'm probably going to call it a night right now and go out in the backyard and do some grilling, but I'll be back in here in the morning. I have one more day off of work, so I'm going to try to knock out the rest of the front end, including the headlight, and start to work on the wiring and the handlebars and that stuff. So I do still need to figure out and finalize the LED setup I'm going to use inside of the indicator thing, because that is the top of what actually holds on the handlebars themselves. But I'll dig into all of that tomorrow, and then we'll be, basically once all that whole front end is done, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the exhaust, because it does kind of contact the bottom of the engine, whether I'm going to add a section of pipe or whatever I'm going to do to figure out that part. Then finish up the tank, and we'll be almost there. So I do need to order some emblems and stuff for the tank as well. But so I will bring you guys back tomorrow, and we'll get to work again. Little update for you guys. It's the next day. I am finishing up putting the front end together. So you see I threw the handlebars on, the headlight brackets. I'm starting to actually wire everything up now. So I'm about to throw on all of the hand controls so that I can get all those wires run. Then we will, once everything's all connected, I'm going to run a kind of a test to make sure everything's working properly. I am still in the process of putting the LEDs in this. I have it drying right over here. So I ended up just using kind of a silicone to stick the LEDs in there. That's the best way I could think to do it, because there was the factory ones were held in there by electrical tape at this point. So the LEDs are going to be better than what I was working with before. So yep, once that dries, we can take this back off and put them in there, get those wired in. Also pulled out my gauges so I can start to figure out how to mount those. These are the gauges I'm using. If you remember, they're Dime City cycles. I'm going to have a tack and a speedo on this bike, which will be cool. So those are already wired, but I am going to need to figure out the mounting holes and how exactly I'm going to mount those and where they're going to sit and everything. But so far it's coming along pretty good. So I'm going to keep on working on wiring and kind of getting everything finalized, and then I'll bring you guys back if anything interesting happens. The reason I'm not kind of going into depth on this bike of what exactly I'm doing every step is because it is honestly very similar to the last bike I built, and I feel like I spent a lot of time kind of going into exactly what I was doing and what wires went where and all that kind of stuff in the last build. So if you do want to see that, I do have videos that go in depth. This is kind of more of a update as I kind of make progress on the bike. So that being said, I will bring you guys back here in a few minutes when I have the next big kind of section done. Alright, so I'm working on wiring up this brake light. I had the brake light kind of stuck right around the back of this frame right here, but for whatever reason, this LED strip, the brake light works, but as soon as you bend it around this radius, it shuts off. So I'm guessing the connections on the inside or whatever, that strip is not intended to be bent. It's supposed to be straight. So here's what I'm thinking. I wanted to get your opinion on it. I could weld a little flat bar all the way across these two caps we just put on, and then have the brake light be right where it's stuck right now. The only thing I'm wondering, and I'm going to look at it tomorrow in the daytime, is how far away you have to be from the bike to be able to actually see the brake light come on. Because they are LED, they're pretty bright. That's the tail light. It's the brake light. So I'm thinking you could be pretty close and still be able to see it. And then of course, with where it's laid out, when you do a turn signal, you can see it from the side of the bike for sure. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the taillight. I haven't done anything permanent yet, but I do want to get your opinion on what you guys think, if that would be a good place for it, or it's too high up to where the tire would get into it, so that's not going to be a problem. So if that doesn't work, then I'm either going to have to figure out a different style of taillight, or yeah, I mean, if that doesn't work, I'm definitely going to have to figure out a different style of taillight. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this being a good or a bad mounting point for this LED strip. Finally starting to get everything wired up. One thing I realized, I never ordered front turn signals for this bike, so I am going to have to order those. I'm just going to get little LED ones, so I'm going to get an LED flasher relay as well. But yeah, everything's coming along nicely. So I did wire this in with the LEDs I put in it. You can see the lights work. So I turn on my high beam. You can see the light changes down there. High beam indicator comes on. Turn signal. It's really slow now because there's one, LED back here, and then the big stock one up here. But you can see that the indicator does in fact work. So I'm gonna have to mess around with that. Neutral light doesn't seem to be working. Oil light, you see when I turn it off, it kind of flashes. So I'm thinking that is working, but once I get the bike actually running, I'll be able to tell a little bit better. But I will have to investigate why the neutral indicator doesn't seem to be working. I'm assuming it's something wrong with the switch itself. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. So again, let me know what you guys think about the positioning of this tail light. Turn it on so you can kind of see where it is. So if you're this far away from the bike, you should be able to see it. So let me know what you think about that, if that's going to be safe enough, or if I should try to figure out another option. Yeah, so that's going to be it for this. Like I said, make sure to check out the t-shirt campaign if you haven't already. I believe there's about 8 days left. Ends on the 11th or the 12th of January. So check that out. And yeah, next video we're going to be basically tidying all this up. And then it's tank. And then hopefully we'll be done. I do need to bleed the front brakes, and that's a lie. It won't be done because I still have to do whatever I'm going to do to the exhaust. And then yeah, so next video is pretty much going to be tidying this up and the tank, and then we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.